The Dave Hooker Show. A presentation of Off the Hook Sports. Objective insight, expertise, top guests. Available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the Off the Hook Sports app. Download now for free. Also available on offthehooksports.com.
I compute and obey.
Now to Dave Hooker.
Ready.
It is a Football Friday with Ron. What? Ron Slay will join us from 104.5 The Zone in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll get him to take the temperature of the Tennessee fan base in the mid-state area. Can Tennessee ever compete or top the Titans if they're very successful for a long amount of time in terms of interest in Tennessee? But no, really, it's a Football Friday with Fred. Fred will join us. So Fred White, Ron Slay, a monster show lined up today on the program. Let's start with the one, the only, Caleb Calhoun. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I am feeling like a very smart person right now because I watched Billy Napier coach last night, and I'm like, wow, I could do better than that.
You know what I like, though? He's very detail-oriented.
Oh, yes. Really showed that yesterday in the game.
It was so funny they said detail-oriented was all I heard 2 years ago at SEC Media Days. What does he do well? He's detail-oriented. What does he do well? He's detail-oriented. You know, like other people, like Spurrier, they'd say he throws the ball. Heupel, he runs an up-tempo offense. Saban, he's tough, but detail-oriented, that's all I heard. And he runs two dudes out there with the same number. I've never seen that before. Have you ever seen two dudes? Now, it's only been around for, about 10 years where you could have an offensive and defensive player with the same number. Wes said he tried very hard, and he did. But two dudes ran out there with the number 3.
Yes, the detail-oriented guy. This is I can't wait to talk to Fred about this because I want to ask him too, like, what's more embarrassing? 2 guys on special teams with the same number or 13 men on the field with Derek? Like, who should be more embarrassed, Derek Dooley or Billy Napier at this point?
I'm going to be real frank with you. I think it's easily 2 of the same numbers than 13 men with Chuck Smith. You're talking about going way back to the Derek Dooley era when he ran. I think he ran 6 defensive tackles and 1 actually made it back, but it was still 13 men overall. So no, I'm gonna have to say that. I mean, two guys with the same number, especially. I know you got first game jitters and stuff, but you look at the depth chart in special teams, and I see how it could happen because special teams you have some offensive and some defensive players, right? And if you didn't see that last night, it ended up being a significant factor in the game because it cost a possession, right? Because they ran 2 out there.
They scored a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah, they scored a touchdown on that drive. So they run 2 guys out there with the number 3, which you can have the same number. You just can't be on the field at the same time. So I don't know how you look at a special teams depth chart and you don't say, whoa. If Bob gets hurt, then Joe and Billy are in the game at the same time and they both have number 3. We need to do something here. The other thing it tells me is that Billy Napier is bending over backwards promising numbers in recruiting. Now, did you think about that? Because everybody wants single-digit numbers. And I wonder if one of those guys was told you can have the number 3. Whereas years ago, he would have had the number 38 and had to earn the number 3.
I never thought about that, but you might be right about that. You're probably right. That does make sense. We're always forgetting this, and I talk about this a lot. I think Billy Napier's in over his head in recruiting because Dave, we you know this is where he also joined.
Caleb, let me stop you for a second. He's in over his head in life.
He's not a life champion. You're not a life champion.
So nice right now.
Well, okay. What we're realizing, because remember, Derek Dooley was hired because he could recruit, because he was a recruiting coordinator at LSU. Here's what we're learning. Guys, stop hiring people from Louisiana thinking they can recruit. It's not hard to recruit in the state of Louisiana, whether you're at LSU or Louisiana Lafayette. You know what you need to recruit in Louisiana? Gas money. Literally, that's all you need to recruit the state of Louisiana if you're coaching in Louisiana.
Okay, we got a lot to get to on the program today, and it's not going to be all about Billy Napier, thank goodness, because just one laydown, and then it's time for Tennessee football. If you're watching this on a Saturday morning, we're with you live weekdays at 10 a.m. So we're going to discuss some prop bets for Tennessee, Virginia. That should be fun. Also, the ACC has added Stanford, Cal, and SMU. We've got Fred White. We're going to look back on that Florida game and what he'll be looking for when the Vols play Virginia. There are goals outside just the score when you play a team like this. And then Ron Slay will join us, and we'll get his thoughts on Tennessee's presence in Nashville. You know, Ron is an afternoon show host there, and they were probably 80% Titans, 20% Vols 4 years ago. Now they're probably, I would think, a little bit closer to 50-50, but we'll talk to him about that and get his thoughts, what he expects from the Vols this season. And the guy knows all sports. I'll go ahead and promise you that. So if you think a basketball player on a football Friday, no. He'll give us great perspective, and he'll also answer today's tough question, which will be, can the Vols ever be bigger than the Titans in Nashville? We want to congratulate the nasally one, John Adams, for getting inducted into the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame last night. He didn't even tell anybody about it. It was in the paper. By the way, to the News Sentinel, the person that ran that picture of me, John, and Mike Strange and Drew Edwards in front of the Rose Bowl, my wife got no credit for taking that picture. She took that picture. If you can pull it up at some point.
Oh, I've seen that picture of you. Yeah, you had red hair.
Yes, I don't anymore. But my wife took that picture and it just said provided. Hell no, it wasn't provided. It was provided by my wife. So give her a little bit of love. Photog Shanda. And
did she also film you? Because there's a video of you on YouTube right now, Dave, from like 2013 catching balls from Eric Ainge. Did she film that or not?
No,
trying to catch balls.
No. I caught the first one. And the second one was a pass from 10 yards that you never would have thrown in any sort of game. It was like, you know how you put touch on a pass? And he was embarrassed I caught the first one because he threw it probably about 80%. And he threw the next one as hard as he could, and I couldn't catch that. And then they've edited it and everything, but he's got a noodle arm nowadays, so what does it matter? But what Tennessee Vol, before we really dig into it, is most likely to be in the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame one day? That is on the roster right now.
Knoxville Sports.
I got mine. You ready for mine?
I think we might have the same one, but I'm going to see who you're going to say first.
You go first.
I think it's going to be our guy Cooper Mays.
Oh, there you go. Well, I tell
Knoxville kid.
I tell you who it is for me. It is my guy Jacob Warren, because he had a good career like Cooper locally. He's had a good career at Tennessee, and I've got a weird feeling no matter what happens in the NFL, and he'll be a guy that plays a few years in the NFL at the very least, but I've just got a weird feeling that he might be in broadcasting one day. He's just too good. He's just too good to turn that down, so I'm going to say that he's in broadcasting, and it's kind of cumulative sort of thing, like the Basketball Hall of Fame takes into account college and broadcasting sorts of things. So that's my prediction, is that Jacob Warren is the guy on the roster that will make the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame one day. What do you think about that?
I like it. I still like mine better, but I think Jacob Warren is right there. So I think both of them could do it.
All right. Anybody else that even comes to mind?
I'd have to. Tyler Barron. He's from East Tennessee.
Yeah. So here, you don't have to be from East Tennessee if you just live.
No, I agree, but I think it helps being from Knoxville. I think.
Boy, the Gators are bad. Grandma, I mean, somebody posted that on the message board. It's like, you know, when Florida plays football, one of the upper echelon SEC teams play on the opening Thursday. You usually don't need to tune out before the end of the first quarter, but they were getting pushed around. I mean, that wasn't just a look at the score game. That was a whole lot bigger mess. I mean, I really feel like they're going down the path of the decade of dysfunction, as Mark Nagy called it in his book. I don't see that thing turning around anytime soon. Now, I'm not selling the Utes short. The Utes impressed me. I feel a lot more confident than the Utes can be in the playoff conversation than I did yesterday And I thought that as well. So I'm not surprised the Utes played well. I'm just a little bit surprised that Florida just played that poorly. Here we go. It's time for some prop bets for the University of Tennessee and Virginia, as they will play at noon Eastern time in Nissan Stadium. And we'll tell you who that's brought by here momentarily. So set us up with your prop bets that are on offthehooksports.com. And basically, you're all over the place. You're doing some good things. And you've got Dylan Sampson with a touchdown. So you bet 100, you win 170. So it's a little bit more than 2-1 that Dylan Sampson scores a touchdown. I'll tell you right now, I would take this. Is this one that you would take, I'm assuming?
Yes. I need the hay now. That's crazy.
Let me get to that. I had to take something there.
I need your sound effects, Dave.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. It's and when I do prop bets, guys, these are basically about odds as much as they are about likelihood too. But I think for Dylan Sampson, if you ask me like 50-50, will he score? Will he not? I might say no, but plus 170, I like those odds. I like plus 170. I think it's a decent payout, and I think there's a very good chance he scores. So
okay, so for those that don't gamble, if you can explain the plus 170 one more time. So you bet
plus
100,
170.
You win 170.
Yeah, you bet 100, you win 170. Plus 170 means if you bet 100, you win 170. So I think that's a pretty good payout for Dylan Sampson.
Okay, so what's next?
Next is Squirrel White. It's minus 105. So you bet 105, you win 100. That Squirrel White scores a touchdown.
Hey now.
I think that's an easy one. Easy.
I think he's gonna just side. I think he's gonna lead the team in touchdown receptions this year. What about you?
Yes, I do. Definitely yards per catch, probably touchdowns as well. What do you got next on prop bets, Virginia and Tennessee?
Now, I love this because of the odds. I love it. Jabari Small scores the first touchdown, plus 440.
That's crazy.
No, sorry. Nice try, Caleb. They'll score from long distance to test those corners.
Hey, Dave.
Those corners are
Guess how many games last year Jabari Small scored the first touchdown for Tennessee?
I would say 8.
7. You were close.
7. I was going to say 7.
Guess how many times he scored the first touchdown in the game, period?
Oh, you mean including the other team?
Including the other team.
Oh, so is the one you're picking other team included? Well, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
I would say 6.
5. But close both times. Jabari Small scored first a lot last year and plus 440. Plus 440. I love those odds.
I like the odds, but I think Tennessee scores a long touchdown first. I think that now I would take Jabari Small with most touchdowns. I'm sure that was on there somewhere. But
what if Tennessee gets an interception though and gets the ball on like the 5-yard line to start off?
Oh, well, then you probably win. By the way, these prop bets are brought to you by Zen Sports. Zen Sports, the new sports book in Tennessee, revolutionizing the way you earn sports betting rewards. That means no more deposit bonuses that turn into deposit nightmares. On Zen Sports, what you see is what you get. And with their cash rewards program, you get a lot of cash for a welcome bonus. Earn an unlimited 5% cash back on your betting volume for your first 15 days when you sign up with the promo code HOOKED. That's HOOKED. That's right. Unlimited 5% cash back. Keep betting, keep earning with up to 3% cash back on your betting volume every month after that. And refer friends to earn a percentage of their betting volume as cash rewards too. Zen Sports bringing the cash back to Tennessee. So if you bet big on sports, you want to be betting on Zen Sports. Zen Sports betting just got better. Joe Milton III under 280.5 yards per game. So are you taking the over or the under? You're taking the under?
I'm taking the under.
That's crazy.
No, they'll leave him. They'll leave him in the game midway through the third quarter to make sure he gets over 300. Guarantee you.
Hendon Hooker didn't average over 300 a game last year. I think they're going to pull Joe Milton. I think they're going to pull Joe Milton at 250. And also, here's another point.
Hendon Hooker had a better foundation of deep-seated competence, whereas Joe Milton is more outwardly competent. Hendon Hooker would have I believe, has even more confidence. Neither is lacking in the department, but you didn't have to make Hendon Hooker feel good in game one. You want to make
Dave,
Joe Milton feel good in game one.
I think Tennessee's going to get a lot of short fields. So I just don't think there's going to be room to throw for 300.
Okay. We'll see. Fine. I'm not saying that I agree with you, but all right. Number one, Tennessee is minus 14.5 in the first half. So you believe Tennessee will have more than a 15-point lead in the first half?
Yes.
Hey now.
I can't argue with that. Seems spot on to me.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to in 2021, they dominated the first quarter. Last year, they dominated the second quarter. What do you think, Dave? This is actually a decent question. Do you think they'll be a first quarter team or a second quarter team this year? Which quarter will be stronger for them?
They were primarily a second quarter team, right? Last year.
Yeah, they were second quarter last year.
Well, they're not going to be. Statistically, they're never going to be a third or fourth quarter team because half the teams are probably going to run out of the building, and because the way college football is set up, you're going to run half the teams out of the stadium. So statistically, you're never going to be a second half team necessarily. You may play better in the second half against quality opponents, but statistically, it's always going to look better in the first or second quarter. Now, I'll say probably the same. I'll give this coaching staff kind of the ultimate compliment, and that is I think they make in-game adjustments outside of halftime. A lot of people can make adjustments within halftime, and they're just fine. Some people can't even make halftime adjustments at all. But making adjustments, or in the third quarter against LSU in the 2001 SEC championship game. Or you got coaches that make adjustments on the fly, and I think Tennessee can do that. So it is confirmed the ACC is adding.
Wait,
Stanford.
First or second quarter, though? First or second? Are they going to be first or second? You did.
I'll say second. So I think they
Okay.
make those adjustments. I got caught up beating around the bush. It is confirmed the ACC will add Stanford, Cal, and SMU. Now, my question for you is, how does this change things for the SEC? Do you start being a little bit different in your philosophy of what was the term that Greg Sankey used a couple of years ago? Contiguous states?
Congruency.
Congruency. So do you start to get away from that? There's still a Washington hanging out there. Notre
Washington
Dame, I
State.
guess. There's a Washington. But what does that do?
Yeah, it's Washington State and Oregon State. Washington and Oregon are already in the Big Ten. Are going to the Big Ten.
Oh, so you can't even. Oh, you can't even get. So you can't go get what? I mean, I don't know that anybody's out there other than the ACC teams in Notre Dame. I mean, then they would all be congruent.
Yeah, I think the SEC should stick with congruency.
They don't really have a choice.
But I don't think they need to either. The one thing I'll give
UMass?
The one thing I'll give Greg Sankey is I'll knock him for not getting better TV deals, but the advantage the SEC has, or the South footprint, your footprint is in areas where you can get a lot of great revenue-producing colleges. So, I mean,
and you can get a lot of stat-producing 330-pound dudes that can move. That's what makes the SEC inherently different than every other place in the country. They're, 70, 80% of the guys. If you want to look at the defensive tackle list of 4- and 5-star guys, I bet 70% are from the South each and every year.
Yes, because I've thought about this because Iowa and Wisconsin is like a pipeline for elite offensive linemen. But Dave, you know this. You can coach up somebody to be an offensive lineman. You can't really coach somebody to do what they need to do as a defensive lineman. They just got to have the raw physical ability, don't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, you just gotta have. It's rare to be 300 pounds and have fast twitch muscles. I mean, you don't see those guys bounce around a lot. You see somebody that's 300 pounds out in daily life. He's usually not springing from spot to spot in his particular chosen job. So now, when I look at let's look at the player rankings real quick. So let's pull that up, and let's go ahead and think of this as the section of the program where we say why the SEC shouldn't really be affected by this latest move. Maybe that's the direction we're going here. So if I look at defensive linemen, the top rated dudes, So I'm going defensive lineman. They don't bring them up. They don't seem to break them up by defensive tackles. What am I missing here? Okay, so just defensive linemen. So I'm going to pick the 300-pound dudes. Okay, 300-pound dude, Illinois. So far I'm an idiot. Man, a lot of these guys aren't 300 pounds anymore. Football's gotten so light again. But let's just take the top 10, for instance. Defensive linemen. Now, some of these are borderline guys that could end up being edge rushers, or they could be defensive tackles. One, Williams Winery. He's from Missouri. Technically, that's the South, I guess. And then a kid, Breland, out of California. You have David Stone, Bradenton Academy. That is in the South. Justin Scott in Chicago. Edric Houston, Buford, Georgia. Camarion Franklin, we know him. Mississippi. Dominique McKinley, Louisiana. L.J. McCray, Florida. Dylan Evans, Texas, technically the South, if you want to count that as the Southeast now, and Jeffrey Rush out of Mississippi. So out of those top 10, now that's just a quick look at it, all but 2 of the top 10 highest rated defensive linemen. So you can break them apart according to 247 by edge rushers, but you can't break them up by defensive tackles. But out of the top 10 defensive linemen, 8 are from the South.
8 are from the South. 8 are from states that the SEC is already in. And yeah, so, and I mean, not only that, let's just, going through it again, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida. 6 of the 10 are from the original SEC states, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, which have charter members of the SEC. So, I mean, you're right. And we know Mississippi produces, I talked about this yesterday, Mississippi probably has the most freakishly athletic people in the country. It's just not that populated of a state. If there was only one SEC school from Mississippi, if it was just Ole Miss or Mississippi State, that would be a program on the level of Alabama.
Okay, so does this mean that Tennessee has to go get Florida State, Clemson, and USC like now?
You mean the SEC?
I'm sorry, the SEC.
I mean, I think they want to try, but I don't know if they can. Those were the only 3 schools who voted against the expansion. Getting SMU, Stanford, and Cal, Dave, they have 3 more schools to vote to keep the grant of rights agreement in place till 2036. So now FSU, Clemson, and UNC, to try to break that, they got to take that to court. And I'm not so sure the courts are going to side with them on that.
Well,
so they might be stuck in the ACC.
But we're all pretty sure the courts will move pretty slow on something like this, right? You might have one congressman like Tommy Tuberville or something get behind it because it gets him in front of a lot of televisions, but that doesn't mean the judicial system is going to move quickly to get an answer. I mean, this could be years, just like NIL, federal regulation. I mean, do we think that's even going to happen before, say, 2008? If I put the over under at 2008, you'll have federal.
You mean 2028? Because 2008 was
2028. 2028. You'll have federal regulation by 2028. Would you take the over or the under?
Oh, over meaning after 2028?
Yes.
Yeah, over. It's going to be after 2028.
That's insane. 2 minutes. Fred White, a Football Friday with Fred. Here we go. It is game week on a Friday. Fred White, DFL, joins us next. Hang tight. Watch this and support our sponsors.
Our family has been creating one-of-a-kind pieces of jewelry in West Knoxville since 1986. Each piece is a combination of unique processes that bring your idea to life. Every day in our shop, a truly special item with a story all its own is being manufactured in our facility, bringing the history and family sentiment into a whole new generation of life. We're grateful that you chose us to be Knoxville's best jeweler, a title that we value and respect. Because to me, being a jeweler and owning a jewelry store are not the same thing. I'm Rick Terry. I'm a jeweler, and we want to be your jeweler. Kingston Pike and Campbell Station Road in the heart of Farragut, and downtown on Gay Street right next to the Tennessee Theater.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your man.
These mountains hold and defend a spirit far better than moonshine. A drink that holds flavor that becomes necessity. A hard cider made and relished by folk who are as hearty as they are legend. A refreshment that can only be found in one place. With a taste that makes you say, give me 3 bottles of the good stuff. Tennessee Cider Company, where necessity can be found.
What's up, everybody? This is Jacob Warren, asking you to like, subscribe, and share. Dave needs this.
Let's get it going. It's a Football Friday with Fred White. Here we go.
Who's this guy?
Hello, wizard.
The Dave Hooker Show,
Who?
a presentation of Off the Hook Sports,
What?
YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
Why wait? Let's bring him on in. Fred White joins us now. We love him. He's on with us every Friday. And he is, I can go ahead and make the announcement now, Fred. It's super cool. So one of the things we want to do is make schools safer. And that is one of the things that our friends at Herald Group Security Solutions are doing, along with protecting CEOs. They want to provide security solutions for schools. So that's one of the things that we're going to be promoting that we feel like is going to make the world a better place. HeraldGRP.com. That's Herald, HARRELL, GRP.com. And they will bring you that Sunday show with Fred. I couldn't come up with a better name, Fred. I did the best I could.
I'm okay with it.
Back in my wet days, I would come up with something really creative. I just have a couple pops and then something just flows right out. But I'm not nearly as creative when I drop the IPAs. So, but
creative juice.
That's right. We used to call it the truth serum. Or Kevin Mays, Cooper's dad, used to be on the radio with us back in 1997, and we were talking about you guys. And it used to be always get him there early so he could have a couple of drinks and get the truth serum in him. And he would talk a little bit more frankly. But go ahead and get on board. And if you're interested in your the security of your business or your kid's school, check out HeraldGRP.com. I will tell you more about that. It'll be that Sunday show with Fred where we will talk about the Vols. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe. We appreciate that. And turn those notifications on, because here's where it really starts, because over the weekend, we'll have the Vol Report with Cooper Mays and the Vol Report with also some guy named Jacob Warren, who I think might be in the Tennessee the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Our guy John Adams made the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. I'm all over the place. Fred, our guy John Adams made the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, not just the sports writer, but the Sports Hall of Fame. What do you think about that?
You know what? That's what's up. I like John Adams, man. Like I said before, I used to hate John Adams when I was in college, but after getting a chance to work with him and be a part of the show with him, man, and learn a lot of things from him, I think he's well deserving of the reward.
Yeah, and he loves you too. And I called him yesterday. I was like, I didn't even hear about this. And he said, oh, yeah, I didn't say anything. And I'm like, well, I would have gone. And he goes, oh, man, it's so boring. You know, guess how much tickets are? $50. Higher. $150. Higher. $200. Yeah. So I said, then I wouldn't have gone. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So here we go. Let's get off and rolling, and we want to talk the University of Florida. Hit that like and subscribe button to get us going. It'll be Cooper Mace. Coop, what should we do? What should we do?
Coop here. First down.
That's the wrong button. Guys, I'm so excited about football. I'm all over the place.
Cooper Mace here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, we will do that, Coop. And it is time for 4 Downs. And it is brought to you by our friend Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com.
4 Downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
Downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
So I got the down set, but Travis kind of jumped in there and gave me a good one. So this is like a pregame stretch. How happy are you that Florida stinks like a dead possum, man? How bad were they last night, Fred?
You know what? I'm so happy because here's the thing. We went through that stretch when we were not so good as well. And it's a cycle, right? I think it runs its cycle. I'm sincerely hoping that it's Florida's cycle to go through that same situation that we went through for the last 10 or 15 years before we got our coach that we need. Watching them, that first touchdown pass was 70-something yards, I was sitting there thinking, uh-oh, there's trouble in paradise. Then as I watched the game go on, I'm thinking to myself, this is a Billy Napier coach football team. They kind of look like a Big Ten football team, how slow they played, lethargic. And it just made me realize, you know what? I don't know if these guys are going to be able to make it through the SEC schedule. They played like that against Utah.
Well, so this was the MO among the media before Billy Napier took over in the offseason. I think he'll get it turned around. I think he'll build a strong foundation because he is a detail-oriented coach. Well, detail-oriented isn't having a ton of bust in the secondary, and detail-oriented isn't having 2 dudes with the same number run out on the field
at the same time.
How does that happen, Fred?
That is ridiculous. That tells me a lot about who he is as a coach.
I mean, that really is one of those moments that gives you more insight. We cannot overplay that.
And I can recall when we were looking for a coach there that somebody brought up his name, and I remember saying to myself, if we hire him, we're looking at the same situation for the next 10 years. I'm happy he's not our coach. I guarantee you that.
Fred, you were a peer of Ryan Clark. Y'all played in the SEC together at safety. You know Ryan Clark wanted LSU to hire Billy Napier over Brian Kelly, right?
I saw that clip yesterday. I saw that clip when you said that, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, what was Ryan thinking? You cannot. That's ridiculous. So why would you even ask that guy to be? What did you see that made you think that he was a guy that you wanted to be your coach? I'll take Brian Kelly every day, all day over him. Billy Napier? Are you serious? I've never actually thought he was a good coach anyway, and I think he's had some good situations. Don't get me wrong, but as far as just being an X's and O's guy who can get it done, I'm not going to ever say that he's not a good coach. As far as like he's made it to college football to be a head coach. Somebody thought he was a good coach, but I just never thought he was a good coach. I've never liked his schemes. I've just never liked any the way his teams have been coached and ran and those type of things as well.
Yeah, and when it started to leak to me, somebody that covered Florida said to me that was really on Billy Napier a year ago, the detail-oriented coach, said this year, well, I think he'll at least build some stability. I just don't know if the fans are patient enough. Wait a second. That's like a girl that says, well, maybe I'll show up and go out with you, but I certainly wouldn't bet on the fact that I'll actually show up at 7:00 on Friday night.
Yeah. You might show up, but she's going to only be there for the food. I guarantee.
I hope you have the patience to sit around there and wait for like 3 hours, and maybe I'll show up. I just thought that was a really weird thing to say.
But am I wrong? Did you watch the game? Y'all watched the game, and did you see how like they didn't look like they were in a hurry to do anything? It just looked like they were just on the football field, and it was like they didn't know what they were doing. They looked very unconfident and very unsure of themselves while they were on the field.
No, I agree.
Do you think the weather, like the hurricane distraction, maybe affected them at all, or is that?
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I doubt it. How about these hurricanes? How about these hurricanes of touchdown passes we're gonna throw on them in that stadium? I guarantee you, it's gonna be a joke. I might go to the game just because of it. No, I went to one Florida game in my life, and I was like, I'll never go back. But you know what? I think I might go now.
Yeah, I went
just so I can rub it in a little bit.
I went to one Florida game as a fan when I was in college, and that went south pretty quickly. But this might be a fun Florida game to go to. But still, Tennessee has to take care of business, and we haven't even seen them play. Let's go ahead and get to Four Downs, and it's brought to you by Andy Mason,
AndyMasonRealEstate.com. 4 Downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show. 4 Downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
I like to kind of pin Fred down sometimes on some of these football questions because he knows so much more football than me that I tend to get insight. But I'm going to go really just broad scope lens on this one. And that is just what did you think of Florida quarterback Graham Mertz?
I'm happy he's a Florida quarterback and not ours. I mean, I think he didn't have a lot of time. I don't know if the offensive line is that good for one. First game of the season, he's a new starter. I still didn't think he played very well. I mean, I think he has all the tools, but I don't even know what their identity is supposed to be on offense. I can't tell you whether they're a high-low team, if they're underneath team. I don't understand what they're trying to run. I don't understand their offense. So I don't want to give him a bad grade just simply because he's in a horrible offense. But he didn't look very good in this game. He didn't look very good because they were – I don't understand the play calling, man. It just didn't make sense.
No, I felt the same, Caleb. I felt the same way. I didn't know what they were trying to accomplish. I feel like I know when I watch good teams what they're trying to accomplish first, and then you build off that.
Well, I think they are very. I think Fred, you nailed it. I think their tackles are terrible.
They are
horrible.
Yes.
I think they got Graham Mertz, who's used to playing in the Big Ten behind a Wisconsin offensive line, which whatever you want to say about Big Ten football, Wisconsin always produces those great offensive lines. So Graham Mertz was very much a drop back, dink and dunk down the field. We tried to do a lot of that yesterday. I think that's what they want to do. Rob Sale, the offensive coordinator, is a former line coach, but I don't. I'm with Fred. I'm with both you guys. I don't think they have an offensive identity. They don't know what they want to do, and I do think it's hard when you have a statue for not too much. Graham Mertz isn't totally immobile, but he's not that mobile. And when you have that bad of an offensive line, I just don't think there's much you can do.
If you don't have a good offensive line, and you have a guy who he's not looking to run the ball. He's not a guy who's going to be very athletic like what you just had. He's nowhere close to the Richardson kid or any other quarterbacks they've had in the last few years. He is a statue. But keep in mind, Billy Napier, Wisconsin, what did he have there? He didn't have any athletic or mobile quarterbacks.
Maybe he doesn't value one like he should.
Yeah.
I mean, because nowadays, let's face it, to be the next Peyton Manning or Dan Marino, a pure pocket passer, you've got to be really, really, really special in those regards. You better be able to move some for most people.
Well, you better be able to have a good offensive line that can protect him too, because that's the name of the game. And I mean, you put Peyton Manning in that offense, they may have scored a few more points, but getting sacked that many times, hey man, it's going to be hard for you. And I'm going to say this again: Utah is ranked number 13, yes. However, that is a Utah football team. It's not the University of Georgia. It's not South Carolina. It's not Tennessee. It's not Auburn. You're looking at some real heat coming at you when the SEC season starts, because they're going to blitz the crap out of you, knowing that you don't have any guys that can make plays downfield right now.
No, you're right. So what down was that, Coop?
Coop here. First down.
Thank you. What down is this?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Cooper's just sitting there in the studio waiting at all times to read those lines, and we appreciate it. He's right over there in the corner, and he just sits there and he reads those lines. We appreciate it. This is a tough one. What does Florida say is a team strength or that they did well after last night's game? How do you build upon last night?
You asked a question. You said, what would they say they did well? Get beat. That's what they did well. They got beat. Bombs over Baghdad. I'm just saying. They got beat.
Great song.
Early and often.
Really, is there anything, Caleb? I mean, I know I'm grasping at straws. That's the point of the question. I can't think of one dude that did something well.
Well, okay, I'm just going to say it. Their punter did nail 2 punts inside the 20-yard line and had a 57-yard punt.
Press the kicking game was here where the breaks were made. There we go. I got you.
Yes. But they weren't even good in most of the kicking game because they still missed a field goal, and it was the special teams where they had 2 people with the same number. So, I mean.
Yeah.
That still is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in football, probably. I'm seriously trying to
aside,
as far as an organizational thing.
Just a funny aside real quick, because I'm a Real Housewives watcher, guys. Utah special teams coordinator, Sharif Shah, his wife went to prison this all season for financial fraud.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Back up. What did you just say? Did you just say I'm a Housewives watcher?
I watch the Housewives.
I watch it on occasion, but that means old school VCR setup. Record at 7:58.
You try to just say that like it was just cool. Okay.
I'm sorry. Fan of the shows. But Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Jen Shah, is married to Utah special teams coordinator Sharif Shah. She went to prison this offseason because she was stealing money from senior citizens. So if anybody should have had the mistakes on special teams, it should have been Utah because of all the distractions. And Florida still managed to out-incompetent Utah on special teams.
The Gainesville PD needs to pick up Billy Napier for stealing money from the University of Florida.
Yeah, because he's going to get fired at some point. They're going to have to pay him all his money at some point. I mean, hey. The quickest way to be a multi-millionaire is to be a college football coach and get fired in 2 years.
Amen to that. And there used to always be 3 or 4 years, but we're going to get to the 2. All right. What down is it? Hey, Coop, over there in Studio 3B. What down is it?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. 3rd down.
Thank you, Coop. I appreciate that. It's 3rd down. You're a Tennessee player watching that game last night. What do you take from it? Because I know you want to be confident, Fred, but we've had a lot of Florida games that have cropped up over the years where I sit back in the media and said, this is a Florida team for the taking. Tennessee's better, and it didn't shake out that way. So what would you hope Tennessee's players' mindsets are after seeing the Utes beat Florida?
And you got to take into account also the last few years of the head coaching position, the difference there. I think we're head and shoulders above where we were when it comes to coaching staff now, with Josh and those guys. I look at this Florida team, though, and they didn't – even those other teams that may have lost the game or didn't play very well, they may not have played very well, but they won the games, or they were in it. They weren't in this game whatsoever. They didn't look very well coached, for one. They looked like
I know
a few of our old school teams that with horrible coaches – after Coach Fulmer, I'm just going to say that first, that were kind of just didn't know what they were going to be doing on the football. They didn't look confident. They didn't know what they were doing on the field. They didn't look like a Florida football team from old. So I look at this group and say, unless you're going to have a drastic change in your locker room as far as leadership goes, I don't see them winning 6 games.
And this is not his first year. I mean, Fred, this is supposed to be a detail-oriented coach, and you come out there in year number 2, and listen, if Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Southern California, I can list off about 8 schools that are just talented and or have great coaching. If they come out and beat you in year 2 just because they're better than you right now, I get that. but to look poorly coached in year 2, ouch.
I bet you right now that Lane Kiffin is kicking himself, and also the University of Florida is kicking themselves by not hiring him when they had the opportunity to. I think that was a big mistake on their part, and I think I just saw somebody say that in the thing. I think Lane Kiffin will be at Florida next year.
I do too, because that leads. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go. And Lane wasn't offered it. I can tell you that with a very good source. But I bet he'll be offered it because of this question. Coop in Studio 3C.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
It is 4th down. Will Billy Napier be fired after this year? Usually, even the worst coaches get 3 years. This is 2.
You asking me that question right now.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, he won't make it through the football season. I think he'll get fired. He'll be the first coach fired this year.
Ouch.
I have
What do you
to
think,
agree with
Caleb?
Fred. Before last night, I would have said 3 years, but I gotta agree with Fred. I gotta say he won't make it through this year. That was bad. I mean, that was next level bad coaching yesterday. That I didn't. I even from the Tennessee years that we talked about, that we can just name them: Butch Jones and Derek Dooley and Jeremy Pruitt. Like, I don't remember seeing somebody look the closest that bad in their second year. I mean, the closest I could say was Jeremy Pruitt, his second year, losing to Georgia State and BYU to open the season.
That's how bad this looks, though. That is a ranked team, though. Don't get me wrong. That is a number 14 ranked team. But I'm looking at Florida's schedule, and I'm trying to figure out where they're going to get these wins. I think they'll lose Kentucky. If not, it'll be a very close game. If they lose to Vanderbilt on October the 7th, he would not get back on the plane. They won't bring him back. Let me say that, but that's a home game for him. But he won't make it to his house without having fire signs on his lawn. And then South Carolina is right after that. Then you got Georgia. I don't see them winning those games. I don't see them beating that schedule. You got Kentucky, Vanderbilt. You got to probably, if you lose to Vanderbilt, you should get fired in the first place. But Florida plays South Carolina at South Carolina. They play Georgia in the cocktail game, and then you play Arkansas at home, and then LSU. I don't think he makes it to the end of the year.
I wasn't even thinking through the year, but Fred, you may well be right. Because here's the deal: you get a head start on finding the next coach. That's why Philip Fulmer was fired during the season, is because Lane perhaps preened that he was going to get the Washington job, but I do think he had an offer out there, and that's why Mike Hamilton had to pull the trigger during the season, because that's who he wanted. Now, in retrospect, that wasn't the right move, but that's why it was made when it was made. All right, let's turn to Virginia. Tennessee, Virginia, and there's more than the final score. It could be 51-13 or 58-16, but there's more to the final score than this. Give me some things that you want to see, Fred, out of this football team, because if things play as they should, it shouldn't be a close game. So this is not just one of those where just go out and get the win. That's all that matters. No, you need to see more than that.
A few things I want to be able to see. Just one thing or have a few things? Can I get all those out? I think I can get all those in.
You do what you want to do. You can give me one or two we can discuss, or you can give me all. I'll pick them out, throw them out there.
I want to see our defense get after it. You can't win championships. You can't compete for SEC championships without a pass rush. You can't compete for an SEC championship without being able to stop the run and getting sacks, man. We need to have some turnovers. I need to see what that looks like. This new defense we have, I need to see what it looks like, these new guys. The other thing I need to be able to see.
Okay, can I stop you on that first one? Would you rather see them force 4 turnovers, 5 sacks, and 15 tackles for a loss, as opposed to just totally stalemating them and giving up less than 150 total yards, but not with the extracurriculars?
If you give up 150 total yards, you should mollywop them, honestly. So, but I'd rather have the stats as well, just simply because those things make a difference. It shows a team, you know what? This is a football team that's going to get after us every week, and they create turnovers. That creates fear. fear creates, preparation problems for other teams. If you're just stalemating, they can find ways. But man, they got to figure out how to stop this guy, that guy, and that guy. That makes a difference because you got to pay attention to where those guys are on the football field, which makes your quarterback have to think more and your offense have to think more. So I would much rather them have all the stats.
Okay, gotcha. All right, give me the next one.
And then I'm gonna say I need to see what my offensive line does because I want to make sure we can be able to run the ball. Because in order to win championships, also you have to be able to run the ball. I'm not worried about our passing attack. I think Joe is very well with has a very strong arm. He's got more accuracy. I think he has a lot of weapons to go to, which also helps you with your accuracy when you got big guys that can run, and we have that right now. We have about 6 guys that can go out and get that ball. I look at that offensive line as the next thing I'm paying attention to because I need to make sure they can open up holes in SEC play to be able to run the ball effectively.
Can you honestly judge that against an opponent like Virginia, though?
Yeah, you can because if you can be very effective, you should be very, very effective against a team like Virginia. You should be effective against anyone. Now, if you give up 4 or 5 sacks, then we got to figure out what we're doing wrong.
Okay, and remember this: Virginia returns their entire defensive line, and now you have the Cooper Mays issue up front.
Mm-hmm.
I know Josh Heupel tried to say he might play on Thursday, but he's not going to play. All right, what else?
Outside of that, I want to see how many points we can put up. I want to see what the play calling looks like. Can we be very generic and win this game, or do we have to go into the deep bag of tricks to try to win this game? Those are different things that you want to look at and see. And if you shouldn't have to against a team like Virginia, in my opinion, we're considered the number 12 or 13 ranked team in the country. There's no way you should be able to have an issue with them trying to be able to run the ball or put points on the board. Just be more efficient and not have a lot of turnovers or mental mistakes. I watched that Florida team last night, and that's one of the things you saw. You saw mental mistakes and guys not actually getting after it like they should. I want to see the effort, and I also want to see just efficiency.
Fred, it's funny. We talked with John Adams earlier this week about there was that whole rumor that Tennessee almost hired Tony Elliott or something like that. We talked about Florida. Tony Elliott and Billy Napier share something in common, which is they were both offensive coordinators under Dabo Swinney. Mm-hmm. Unlike Elliott, Billy Napier actually got fired by Dabo Swinney. Just wanted to point that out. Do you think that
I'm going to say something also? Being the offensive coordinator for Dabo Swinney, don't give me. I'm not as impressed because of who Dabo is. He's an offensive guy. But go ahead.
I was going to ask you that because with Tony Elliott, I actually kind of wanted Tennessee to hire Tony Elliott 2 years ago before they hired Josh Heupel. I can admit I was wrong when I was wrong. But do you expect to see since it's his second year at Virginia, do you expect to see a much better coach team than they were last year? What we didn't see from Florida last night, a very improved team, or do you think that they're going to have kind of the same issues that they had last year?
Oh, that's kind of. I'm expecting to see a better football team. I think he's a better football coach than maybe not. I think he's a better football coach than Billy Napier, in my opinion. I just don't think they have the talent across the board. Now, I think he will throw the kitchen sink at you early to try to get you on your heels and also stay in the football game. It's kind of that shock and awe type of situation. You got to try to figure out ways to beat it, because then I don't think they feel like they can muscle up with us and manhandle us all over the football field. I think some big plays are going to have to be made for them to even stay in the game. So I think those are going to be some of the things we're going to see from this football team. But can they sustain that for 4 quarters is the question. How do they look when they're down 21-0? Well, how do they look when they're down 21-7? We got to make sure we put that pressure on that football team to make sure they know who they're going up against and what they're dealing with. I see probably a better football coach team, but I think our team is a much better coach team as well. So I don't see them actually having the chance to be in the game, and it shouldn't be.
You didn't mention something that I was hoping you would when you want to see other than a big win by Tennessee, and that is Nico.
Don't
you want to see him sling it a little bit?
I do. If you're up by 28 points, he should get in the game. But you need to put those points on the board first in order for them to get in. That's the whole purpose of putting up that type of points, and also being very efficient on defense, so your young guys can get the opportunity to be in the game and get in the game. And that's your first few games of the season is when you get that opportunity. You should be able to get that opportunity against Virginia as well as Austin Peay. However, if you don't, man, I do want to see the young guys. I want to see Cam Selden play. I want to see some of those young receivers play. I want to see a lot of those guys get a chance to get in the game and get something done. But I would love to see Nico get out there and do something.
Yeah, me too. That might be pretty high up on my list because I feel so certain that Tennessee is going to do the things, and I don't want to take anything just for granted, but I feel like Tennessee's going to do most of the things that you're talking about. So give me a prediction. How do you think this game shakes out? Not only the score, but just your X's and O's view. And I know season openers are the toughest.
Dave, you know what my stat line is, right?
What is that?
300 yards or less.
Yes.
3 turnovers or less.
Yes.
3 turnovers or more, actually.
Okay.
So it's a couple fumbles or interception. I think those things could happen, and at least 4 sacks. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm saying is going to happen. But I'm also going to say that we'll put up a lot of points. We averaged over 40 points a game last year. I'm looking at, and I see the score over there, Robert, 56-3. I'm going to go 56-14.
Oh, 2 touchdowns. I'm going to go 58-9 because I think that ultimately if they get in the red zone, that Tennessee's speed and quickness is going to be too much for them even to be able to get open. And I think Tennessee will have that sort of pride as the offense scores a lot. And I'm sure you've been in situations where the offense is playing really well, and you want to hold up your end of the bargain. So, Fred, where are you, by the way?
Man, you know, I came to get my wheel replaced. I guess I hit a pothole in Atlanta, and boy, if you know about our potholes, they're the size of New York rats. But, so I had to come to Mavis Tire to get my wheel replaced.
Well,
shameless plug, but
yeah,
I appreciate the work they've done.
Always be prospecting. Give me a decision maker's name. We'll see what we can make happen.
Absolutely, baby.
Fred, you have a blessed day, a great weekend. A Football Friday with Fred is special in April, but it's super special in the season opener. So we can't thank you enough. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button. Turn your notifications on because we'll have That Sunday Show with Fred coming up on Sunday. So again, look forward to working with you even more. And Fred, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, buddy.
All right, brother. Go Vols.
How good's that guy? He's bringing like his headset and he's bringing his computer in like a tire shop. So he's like, hey, do you have a little corner that I could broadcast to, I don't know, the entire world?
I mean, gotta give him some props, man. I respect it. Remember me last year, first show I went on when my Wi-Fi was broken down, so I went outside to try to talk to you guys, and then a stray dog was out in the neighborhood.
You weren't with us the first week, but we had Ben Joyce on, and a tree fell on the power right when we said goodbye to him, fortunately, but fell on the power line and knocked out Wi-Fi and power. So that was actually our thumbnail of the tree. So we got Ben Joyce in. Probably wasn't best practice, but that was before we had you. Man, how about Ron Slay next? The one, the only Ron Slay will join us in 90 seconds. And we love Ron for a number of reasons, but he's going to give us some insight as to how excited the Tennessee fans are in Nashville. And let me ask you, but you've got like 5 seconds. Can the Vols be a bigger overall draw just in terms of attention than the Titans in Nashville?
I think they already are. I think they always have been.
It was easy. 90 seconds.
Candace, I was really heavy into the drug culture. I was selling drugs. I was just constantly in pain. I was missing like a good support system in my life. Candace has given me everything that I need in order to successfully have a wonderful recovery, in order to have a life that I didn't even know was possible before. And it's not just about me anymore, and I love that. I absolutely love it.
You can take your life back. Call Cadis today. With all that sun, sand, and salt water, the beach is a very relaxing place. Unless you wear contacts. Ow! Open your eyes to the best the beach has to offer with LASIK vision correction from Campbell Cunningham Laser Center. Ah.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Who's this guy?
Hello, who is it?
The Dave Hooker Show,
Who?
a presentation of Off the Hook Sports,
What?
YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
Do me a favor, take half a second. And if you can, go to, if you're on the Facebook, go ahead and follow Sports Treasures, because they put out stuff that's absolutely incredible. You just heard about them, but like Hendon Hooker signed helmets and that sort of thing. It's just really cool. And then we will have some items that will feature from time to time at Sports Treasures, but it's there in North Knoxville. But a lot of people don't know that it's one of the biggest sports memorabilia shops in the entire Southeast. So it's really awesome. So check them out, Sports Treasures. Also, a little announcement. Next week, you can buy it on Kindle now, but don't do that because it's $7.99. So you can imagine not very much goes back to yours truly. Wait for the hardback cover, and we priced. We're going to price them the hardback at. We haven't come with the dollar price. Well, we kind of have. Amazon, by the way, raised their percentage of what they take from you, so that was super cool because they're not making enough money. But instead of ending the prices in 99, we're going to end the prices in 98. It'll be our Celebrate 98 book. The untold stories behind Tennessee's 1998 national championship team. So Ron Slade will join us here momentarily on what he expects from the Vols in Nashville. Can the Vols, or are the Vols bigger than the Titans? Our guy, Caleb Calhoun, says that that's the case already. And just the Vols' presence in Nashville. And John Henderson was inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Both are from Nashville. He introduced John Henderson into the Nashville or the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Let me ask you this, Caleb. So you say that recruiting isn't great in Nashville in terms of hasn't been great, and the stats would support you. Are those blips in the radar, guys like Henderson and the guys that they've had from time to time, or are the blips in the radar now where it will get better, should get better? Your thoughts?
I still think it's long-term blips in the radar. Now, Nashville is going to be the best recruiting area in the state because of the size of the city. It's just so big now that you just naturally are going to have people to pick from. But per capita, I think it's going to be, I still don't think it's that good. Remember, you got a lot of Nashville's growing population is based on a lot of yuppie hipster type people from the north moving to the city. Their kids aren't playing football. Their kids don't have football bodies. Okay, those football bodies that you're talking about.
Yuppies. Ron Slay will bring him in. Ron, when is the last time you've used the term yuppie? For me, it was about like 1993.
Hey man, I don't even remember that. I think I might have accidentally said it when I was talking about some hush puppies or something. But Caleb brought that one back, boy. He reeled that one on us right there.
Speaking of when this is like a lot of. My son is checking into UMass as we speak, and it's his first day, so it's check-in day. I remember my first day. It was a guy from up north. His name was Dave, so we nicknamed him Dave too. I didn't know him, and I took him to Captain D's. We tried to bond. It didn't really work, Ron. And he goes, "I'll take the catfish and the okra." And I'm like, "What is okra?" And I said, "Do you mean okra?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I guess. Is that like French fries?" I was like, "Not exactly."
Yeah. You should have went on to him. You know what? You just stay here. Matter of fact, you keep this car. I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. I'm headed on back.
I didn't have a car.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
And he was 21. So what he lacked in personality, he made up for in other areas.
Understood. Everybody got to have a college experience. Everybody serves some purpose.
Right. Let's get to today's tough question, and it's brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Today's tough question with Ron Slays now.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Ron, I could make a lot of arguments that Tennessee shouldn't play neutral site games anymore, that Neyland Stadium is a heck of an advantage, that the Nashville fans are going to be the Nashville fans no matter what. You tell me why playing in Nashville is a big deal for the University of Tennessee football program.
For me, man, it's a central location in the state, first and foremost. People can come from each side, like as close as it seems, and as much bleed orange as you get from West Tennessee. A lot of people don't like making that trek. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that is a long, straight, boring drive from Memphis all the way to Knoxville. Like, it's a boring drive from Nashville to Memphis. So add 2 more hours on it. It's really like, oh man, I'll sit this one out. Or I maybe go 1 game a year. If you can get it right here in Nashville, man, and get everybody coming from Alabama, you get them coming from Kentucky, you get them coming from West Tennessee, and so forth and so on. I think it's prime location. I think it's something, when you look at recruiting, you got to be able to get here, and be able to circle the wagon and circle the state. That's a part of it, kind of planting your flag, if you will. I think that's what, when you relate it to basketball, I think that's what was so important about the Memphis-Tennessee basketball rivalry. You kind of plant your flag. I thought that was a great idea for them to have a central location and play a neutral site game here. So with Heupel and them getting back here, even if it's once every 3 years or whatever it may be, it's essentially another home game. You just don't get the extra 40,000 that you're going to get up there in Neyland, but you know what I'm saying? You will get it out there in the parking lot. So I think it's going to be a phenomenal time, led by the tailgate tomorrow, starting off at about 8 in the morning, and everybody will be rocking, man. It's something you got to have. You know what I'm saying? If you want to plant your flag in the state, why not go to the capital of the state and let them know who really runs the state?
Good point. I can't argue with any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. From a fan's perspective, I totally agree with Ron, as somebody who has made that trip from Knoxville to Memphis, and back and forth way too many times, being from Memphis. It's fine to Nashville or back, but you're right. That drive from Nashville to Memphis seems like it's never ending.
It's eternity.
It's got that one long S turn where if you're not paying attention, you could easily just drive off the road.
Yeah, and also if you were Nashville to Memphis is flatland. It's more like the Mississippi Delta, so there's no mountains, no scenery. It's just it's almost like the Midwest at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Ron, one of the things, so I agree with you on that point, but from a recruiting perspective, even if everybody's going to disagree with me on the Nashville talent,
right.
Does it really do Tennessee many favors? Because doesn't Tennessee already kind of have a lock on Nashville recruiting? Can't they just get whoever they want out of Nashville anyway?
You would think so. But I think the bridges that have been burned in the past by this coaching, the few coaches that came in, especially this last staff with Coach Pruitt and them, like it was a turn your nose up Tennessee coming into town. Like I'm telling you what I know from coaches now. Coaches would be like, "No, we all right. We'll catch them another time," or something like that. Like it was a turn your back on Tennessee, because Tennessee, in a sense, had you thinking that we're too good to recruit here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, we shouldn't have to recruit here. Y'all will just come if you're going to come. If not, we're going to go to Alabama. We'll go to Georgia. We'll go to Florida to get guys out of there. But I think it was such a turnoff. It's more it's more important now than ever to make sure you put a fence around the state. And I think this is the way to do that, because recruiting is not a gimme. In my era, yes, without question. 90s, early 2000s, even a little bit 2010s, like it was okay. It was still good. But man, after that, man, and after the dumpster fire that we had up at Tennessee, like it was, you got to get back in and polish it up and put the product back out there and let people see who you are. That family atmosphere is back at Tennessee, and that wasn't welcoming throughout the state anymore. When it came to recruiting, you ask kids nowadays, they weren't thinking about Tennessee. Like it was an afterthought. I'm talking about 5-star guys coming in. You might get one, you know what I'm saying? But the majority of them, they're going elsewhere, man. And that was a problem. So I think right now it's back in a better place. And then for it to stay in a better place, you got to continue going around and knocking on those doors and, you know what I mean, letting people see your face. It was nothing like going to school and I'll be sitting at lunch and I hear, hey, Coach Foreman's in the building. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, whoa, hey, y'all, hey, everybody. Hey, man, who are you here to see? You know what I'm saying? It had that aura about it. When it got to Dooley and Butch did a solid job. I'll give Butch credit. Butch did a solid job. But as far as getting the guys that's 3 stars in the state and things of that nature, if you weren't a 5-star, Butch wasn't coming to get you. Pruitt, he didn't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? Now you're starting to get that stigma back of hyper coming around, and it's like, oh, you sitting up and you perk up a little bit more because you know Tennessee coming around, and that wasn't there before.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Caleb. Go.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment with the Pruitt thing. About 4 years ago, I was on a podcast called Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. I want to give them a shout out. The guy there told me, he said Jeremy Pruitt told him personally that he didn't think Nashville talent was any good whatsoever. So he said the only place he went for talent in Tennessee was West Tennessee and Memphis, and he thought the rest of the state's football talent was terrible.
See what I'm saying?
Wow.
see what I'm saying?
Well, he was just in general, he was a real dodo bird.
like, and even if you think that, you don't say that and come out and act that way. Like I can come out and put a face on, you know what I'm saying? And then once I get home, be like, oh, man, I'm never going down there again, dude. I can't find no talent down there. That's different than saying I ain't going at all because they ain't got no talent. Like at some point, the pendulum got to come back and swing again. And once again, you see Tennessee bubbling with talent.
Right. And when the pendulum swings and there's a John Henderson, you better have a presence there and not have to start from square one.
You feel what I'm saying? Exactly. Without question.
It's so crazy you talk about it, because I don't think that people realize in recruiting how Tennessee has lost basically a generation of kids that they have to win back over. My son's 18, and I can remember Tennessee football if I'm working or whatever, or it's a replay. And, you know, first of all, he wasn't attuned to even caring that the game was on. And second, he's like, oh, did they blow it again? I mean, and he's a nice kid, you know, he's not trying to be mean, but that's just the tenor that was laid for 10 years, Ron.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm still struggling now with guys anywhere from 10 to 25, some 26, to get them in a headlock and tell them, dude, this is not the way it is for Tennessee. I promise you, what you have experienced through your lifetime, your young lifetime, this is not the way Tennessee looks. This is not how they operate. Like, I promise you, this will be over. So now you go into events and people are looking and saying, oh, man, look at Florida, man. We got to play Florida. What's going to happen? No, man, Florida got to play Tennessee. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's switched. So we got to get that mindset back to that. But you can't blame them because that's all they've known. It's been a decade of just, golly, revolving door and a little bit more than that. But to see it finally coming back around, and you see the people older than me and my era looking at it like, see, I'm trying to tell y'all don't understand. Like that Alabama feeling, that was a feeling all the time. You could look for those once to twice a year, anytime. I'm telling you, this is how it's supposed to go. So to see it getting back that way, you just got to hold them steady. Hold them steady, Dave. Don't let them. They'll try to turn their head out and keep it. You know, we don't need no ADD. We don't need no distractions kicking in. We don't need none of that stuff. We need the kids focused, man. We're going to take all their phones when Tennessee playing from now on and cut them off. Ain't no more looking at social media or anything. We need them focused, man, so they can see exactly what it's supposed to be, man. And this is what it is.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because you take the calls on 104.5 The Zone with Brent Doherty and Don Davenport, and you guys have one of the top shows out there, in my opinion, nationwide. And I'm just curious, when you put your finger on the pulse of what the Nashville sports fan thinks, and also you're 6'7", 6'8", so you're recognizable when you go out in public. Do you get asked more about the University of Tennessee or the Tennessee Titans?
Man, hey, listen. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's the Vols. It's
really?
The Vols. It's a little torn. I think the one thing you get from Titans fans is when the team is bad, they'll go hide. You know what I'm saying? So you don't really realize who all is Titans fans. When the Vols are bad, it's like, man, they go Vols fan. Look, he's still out here wearing his orange. It's still terrible, but he's still out here. You know, so it's easy to spot him. Now, I was telling our sales team probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, me and Ramon, we had a meeting with the sales team, and we told them, listen, this is the flagship station of the Titans. Totally get it. It's also the flagship station of the Vols. But you have not seen, and because a lot of them were new in the sales team, you have not seen Tennessee, the state, until you've seen the Vols be good in football. This baseball is good, basketball is good, how's it going? When football is good, trust and believe that this state is going to boom and you will never see anything like it. And they came back to us about a year ago and was like, y'all told us to start. I said, man, I told you better get them relationships together. It's going to make it easier for our endorsements, man. You got to help us out. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But it's the Titans, like you get big figures like DeAndre Hopkins that come in and you start to see people come out of the closet and starting to believe. I think Vrabel did a thing like Hypo did as far as being able to change the culture because he took it over when it was nasty. It was a dumpster fire as well. So to be able to get his regime in there, get his culture right, you're starting to see more Titans fans come out, but it's just nothing like that Tennessee orange, man. When they're good, it's easy to spot. It'll drown out that Titans fan base.
Wow, pretty strong.
Yeah, well, what Ron didn't tell you though, obviously, it's obviously Vanderbilt country in Nashville, guys.
You know, you know what, Caleb? I said this yesterday, man. Like I was getting hype and I was emotional about it getting closer to the game, and I had to stop and I said, man, we ain't talked about Is Vanderbilt even playing this week? And they got a home game against Alabama A&M. I'm like, dog, like it's like you don't hear it. Like it's amazing, man. And I think Candace Lee is doing a terrific job over there as the AD. She's hiring in the right direction with Stackhouse, Shea Ralph, Clark Lee, all of them, man. They're getting them on board, getting them rocking the right way. The funniest thing about it is, man, out of the SEC, only one school in the SEC has a base that is a major city, and it's Vanderbilt. And it's so difficult to get people there. Like it's amazing to me, man. Because I remember early 90s, I used to try to sneak into Memorial Gymnasium and see them play. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a part of it. You know, I remember their football teams and stuff. I remember they used to play Tennessee State. It was the truth. But man, it just kind of whittled away, man. And I hope they can get it back, man, because it'll be good for the SEC. It'll be good for the city. You know what I'm saying? And then when Tennessee and Vanderbilt play, then it won't look like it's just Tennessee coming down the street to one of their houses that they got in the subdivision that they want to stay at.
Ron, I don't want to shortchange the Titans because they've certainly been relevant lately. They've been knocking on the door. But at the end of the day, is it like a Mike Tyson fight? Like you can work as hard as you want to, but if Tyson's at his best, and as far as popularity in Nashville, if Tyson's at his best, you can do all you want to, but you just ain't going to beat him. So if the Vols are at their best, is there anything the Titans do to overcome that?
Yeah, they got to go to the AFC Championship. They got to go to the AFC Championship, win it, or at least get to the Super Bowl, man. I think Tennessee, the Vols, they can go like they did last year, be right there on the brink of greatness, you know what I'm saying, lose, and then get to an Orange Bowl, and you see what it is. You see the bubbling and everything. you take it on the flip side of that and look 2 years ago, the Titans are one game away from the AFC championship game, and they got the number 1 seed in the AFC. You know, get a bye, this, that, and the other. They play the Bengals and lose. Yeah, I know, believe me, I know. But they play the Bengals and lose the way they lose, and it's unforgivable. Like, it's like, okay, we tear the whole structure down and let's start over. Tennessee, instead, you look at it and you say, okay, let's build on this. Let's build on this. Let's build on this. And that's the difference, man. I think when you look at professional franchises, it's not as much of an attachment also that you're going to get from college fan bases and the college that you went to and the college that you support because of the revolving door of franchises in professional sports. So the attachment kind of leaves, you know what I'm saying? If you got a guy for 2 or 3 years, they're gone. It's like, okay, it's business. Now I got to go root for him. If I want to go root for him, he's in Detroit. It's a little different. So I do think Vrabel has done a good job, though, of being able to keep that mainstay right there, keep some pieces in place, and have some pillars right there. And hopefully they keep on building, man. But I don't understand it, man. Like, the people I don't know if I'm too close to it or what, but it's like, man, one bad game can erase the whole great season. It's like nothing. It was all for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's the tough part. That's the tough part for me.
I know Caleb was going to jump in here and close this out, but the one thing I love about Ron, and I mean this, Ron, percentage-wise, you change my mind, because I try to be open-minded in a lot of my thought process.
Yeah.
You change my mind more than anybody that we have on the show.
Yeah.
And it's because I said yesterday, neutral site games are dumb. Why wouldn't you have every game in Neyland Stadium? And now I'm thinking, I might write a column on offthehooksports.com talking about how it's the exact opposite column that I felt so strongly about 24 hours ago. And I mean that because you're so well thought out. That just because they lost those people for so long.
They did.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to give Ron a random comment.
I appreciate that, Dave. Either I'm making you dumber or one of us getting smarter. I'm willing to take both. I'm cool with it.
Well, it's all about content.
There you go.
Well, Ron, sorry, you're not changing my mind. I'm not that easily malleable.
It's cool. We just need one. That's all we need.
Well, now he's in the minority.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
I don't conform. So, Ron, do you think one of the things that helped Tennessee stay the Vols, I guess you have to say the favorite team in Nashville, was when they had their fall off was kind of right at the same time the Titans had theirs, you know, the firing of Jeff Fisher. And I don't care what anybody says, I think he sabotaged the franchise because he didn't like Vince Young. And I blame Jeff Fisher way more than I blame Vince Young for that. And I'm still never forgiving him. Then I called him Mike Muncrack instead of Munchak because he coached like he was on crack all the time. And what was it? Mike Reinfeldt, Rustin Webster, just some of the worst people running the franchise. Do you think that maybe helped Tennessee that at least when they were down, the Titans were down too?
Yeah, I don't think it hurt. That's one thing for sure. I don't think it hurt at all, man. I just think that you have something to grasp to when you grabbing for straws when you talking about professional sports. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't really have that franchise guy. Then when you have it torn also, like Bud wanted Vince, Jeff wanted somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of tore not only the fan base, but it kind of tore them. You know what I'm saying? And a house undivided like that is bound to fall. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, the house divided, not undivided, but a house divided like it failed. And that's exactly what it was. So it took time to build it back up. You know, you look at the ownership now and Miss Amy, it's totally different. It's ran totally different. She honestly runs it like a college program would be ran. You know what I'm saying? All you hear about Tennessee, and I think the reason Tennessee even went down was able to thrive is because somewhere along the line, you still had the family in it. You know what I mean? It might be in a crazy family. Like, there's going to be some fights at the family reunion, but we still going to have one every year, and we always going to come back to it for the same reasons that we always come, because we're going to laugh, joke, this, that, and the other, and love at the end of it. The Titans, you didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? So while one was descending, one was still staying the same. and it was going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? So I do think, to your point, that it didn't hurt. I ain't gonna say it helped. It just didn't hurt that the Titans were floundering. You know what I'm saying? But Vols, man, I think they always gonna be there. As long as you have the right people in command with their hands on the steering wheel that are not driving blind. You know what I'm saying? You can have hands on the steering wheel, but you can also be driving blind. I think they got their eyes open, and it's okay to pass it. Hey, man, I'm sleepy. Who's driving next? Danny White. Think Chancellor Plowman don't want to scoot over? Yeah, cool, take it. Now, we might do 1,000 miles per hour instead of 80, but we still going to get there safely messing with them. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's in a good situation, and it'd be hard to see a drop-off coming for either organization, honestly. As long as Miss Amy is intact and holding it down with the Titans, I feel the same exact thing for them, too.
Yeah, you can have your hands on the wheel, and the officer will still say, "Sir, have you had anything to drink tonight?"
It's a guarantee. You can get a DUI sitting in a parked car.
That's true. Which I always thought would be the most embarrassing one.
Ron, I got piled on earlier by Fred White and Dave. Are you a Real Housewives fan, or am I the only one?
You are.
The reality show.
Yes.
No, man. I love the what's my girls back in the day, the four of them. Eva Longoria and them.
Oh, you actually like the show, Desperate Housewives.
Yeah, I was cool with that. You know what I mean? I was cool. They brought this Real Housewives. These people, man.
There should be a Real Housewives of Nashville, though. Come on. Real Housewives of Nashville would be great.
Them people going to be out there crazy, man. They're going to be drinking all the time, man, sleeping and you know what I mean? Trying to go to yoga and all that. Nah, man, ain't gonna be entertaining enough, man.
Real woo girls of Nashville.
Real woo. Now that right there, now you got action right there. Take them on Broadway, baby.
I would watch Real Kid Rock of Nashville. I would watch that.
Dude, can you imagine? Okay, so I'm gonna give you one.
As a matter of fact, let me show you this. It's all right here. Look at me.
All right, there you go. Throw it back, baby. This is the CD disc. That was beautiful.
I know. It's a CD disc.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I bought that the night. It was 2001 when I heard my wife was pregnant with my first daughter. And I was by myself in Gainesville because Tennessee was playing Florida because of 9/11.
Yeah.
And they played at the end of the year. And she called me on Monday when I had to be there all week and said, I got to tell you something, but I don't think I should tell you till you get home. I go, well, you're pregnant. And so I had to be by myself the whole time. So it was Kid Rock and Maker's Mark got me through that first night.
That's a great combination. That's a great combination. Another reality they ought to give you is, I'm going to tell you, Kid Rock, you get Yellow Wolf, Jelly Roll, and Young Buck. And Young Buck. Give me them four. Give me a reality
Young Buck
show.
with those three would be. Wait, where's All Star? What about All Star?
Now, Star, he's gonna be a guest appearance. You know, we got to have him in as a guest appearance, like all the time. But those, give me them right there. We got something, man. I'm telling you, that's gonna sell right there.
Hey,
Ron,
speaking of which, we need Bubba Sparks back on College Game Day, right, Ron? Since they're getting rid of Big and Rich.
Dude, we gotta hit up Brittany Jackson. Brittany Jackson had him singing at a wedding about a year ago, man.
Really?
Yeah. Wow, man. The connections and relationships, dog, is wow. I'm telling you.
Ron, you know I love you, man. Have a blessed day. Tell Brent and Don I said hello. And it's football time. Before you know it, it'll be basketball time. Let me see that shirt. What's that shirt?
Oh, yeah. That's old school vintage.
Oh, that is old school.
You know what I mean?
But did they hand that
was
to
like
you
when
as
actually
soon as
Kid
you
Rock
walked
was
on
relevant.
campus?
I actually stole this when somebody wasn't looking, but yeah.
That reminds me of a story I could tell you about some of your teammates.
Believe me.
There's some jerseys hanging in a sports bar that weren't exactly donated.
Oh.
You might want to call me sometime.
I would love to
private conversation.
Yeah, I need that. I hope one of them ain't mine. I need one.
There might be one of yours. Ron, have a blessed day. And are you working out at 3 a.m. at Thompson Bowling? No, just picking up some gear. Have a good day, Ron.
All right, go Vols, baby. We back.
Let's see you, buddy.
Have a
He's
good one,
Ron
Ron.
Slay. He's absolutely great. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker. Be sure and stay tuned over the weekend. We'll have a post-game show. We always look forward to that Sunday show with Fred White, where we will look back on the game on Sunday, the Vol Report with Jacob Warren. That'll be brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. And we will have the Vol Report with Cooper Mays, brought to you by our friends at City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. So weekends aren't time off for us. We got a lot going on. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of